everyone, I'm joined by Christine Corcoran from Periscope Coaching. Thank you so much for joining me today and having a chat.
Oh, thank you so much, Casey. It's my pleasure. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Just to start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what Periscope Coaching is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a business and life strategy coach, and I work with entrepreneurs who are either just starting out or they're 1 to 2 years into their business and they're really stuck and they're not really sure where to go from there. So what how this all came about is because I was a business consultant for about 6 years, and I was finding that I would be able to work with my business owners and give them all these tips and tricks and all the tools to create a successful business. But I would find that some would take those tools and run with it and be really successful, and then others would take them and then I'd see them a month later and nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And I really struggled in that because I was like, how can I serve them better?
Yeah.
How can I actually support them to be able to create what they want to create? And so I delved into personal development, and I went back and I studied. So I studied EDISC, which is behavioral profiling. And then from there, I went to do NLP and Matrix and life coaching and all these different tools to be able to help support my business owners more. And that's where it started. So it was being able to know, is it my communication? Is it the tools? Is it like, where can I go next to actually help support them even more? And through that, I love human psychology and how, our behavior is shaped by our thoughts and our feelings, and how we're able to, when we tap into that and able to uncover what really is holding them back, it's so much change comes from that and so much success can come from that. So that's where it all started. And my Periscope coaching, like the concept of Periscope is actually knowing that from understanding and seeing a new perspective, it can change your trajectory. So it came from, when you think about, obviously from a submarine, a periscope, if you feel like you're drowning, all you need to do is get your head above water and actually see where you're going, and you can get a better direction. So that's where Periscope came from.
That's really cool. I love that.
Thanks.
So I met you just recently at the Soul Echo Social, and something that really stood out for me with the whole day, someone asked you what the biggest problem you see with most of the people you work with, and you said self-belief. Why are we always so hard on ourselves?
Look, I think it comes from a few different things, and I think sometimes it's very individual as well. A lot of the times it's expectations. So expectations from other people, our parents, our friends, our family, and it can be expectations from society of what we think we should be doing.
Yeah.
And I think, we can be so hard on ourselves, and by not actually recognizing and being aware of our own self-talk as well. So it can come from lots of different aspects. But what I mean by like really uncovering our own self-belief, it's being able to tap back into our worth. And when we understand that our self-worth is not, it's not based on what other people think, and it's not based on money, and it's not based on what external, circumstances. It's about our own truth. And when we step into that and know that we deserve as much as anybody else, so much more can come from that. And so I help my clients tap back into who they are and start to actually strengthen their own self-belief, because then nothing else is an issue. So much more can come from that, and they can take so much action, and when they 100% believe in themselves, then no challenge is an issue.
Yeah, for sure. What external factors do you think lead to us, not only not believing in ourselves, but not believing in our ideas?
I think obviously society can often come into play there. Social media, I think, is a huge aspect in this day and age. We can often compare ourselves, and I think it's one of the biggest things that a lot of my clients struggle with, is comparing ourselves. And that happens in so many aspects, and there is a way to turn comparison around to benefit us, but also and utilize it in a powerful way rather than a disempowering way. So a lot of external things can often be, even like when I first started out, one of my biggest things that really stopped me was what I thought my parents would think.
Judgment of others.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was an external factor that had nothing to do with what I wanted to create with my mission and my business, but it held me back because I was like, what's my dad going to think? And in the end, when I actually faced that, it wasn't at all what I thought it would be.
It never is it?
Nah, never is. So we're often quite hard on ourselves internally,
Yeah.
and so hard on ourselves that we wouldn't even say that out loud to others,
Yes.
yet we say it to ourselves. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely social media, we can often go down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And any form of society where we think we should be behaving, or we should be, um, that expectation of where we should be in our lives at a certain point, I think definitely shapes that as well.
Yeah. I think as well, the fear of failure as well. Like you don't even want to try because you've already in your head made it up that you're going to fail, like before you've even tried.
Yeah. And even too, that a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's already been done.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's actually never been done your way though.
Yes.
Like, you will always bring something unique that,
Yeah.
and if you will touch somebody that is so unique, and it'll be said in a way that actually lands for them
Yeah.
and resonates for them and changes their life. So it's like, I actually saw Taria Pitt speak at the National Achievers Conference last month, and do you know who Taria Pitt is?
I do. She's amazing.
Yeah, incredible, right?
Yes.
So she went through, obviously got caught in that bushfire through that marathon, and
Yeah.
was burnt to 65% of her body. And what I loved from her message was that if you are able-bodied, you have a moral responsibility to actually follow your purpose and share your gifts with the world.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it really resonated with me, because it was like taking it outside of yourself and going, you know what, it's actually not about you. You can do it in so many different ways. So when you set aside failure, and you set aside, it's even the fear of success
Yeah.
comes up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
What will happen
Yeah.
if I actually succeed?
Mm-hmm.
I might lose friends, or I might upset family. Those types of things come up and come into play. So that's what I love about human psychology, and that's what I love about coaching, is being able to unearth those things and deal with them, so we can move forward and create the success that we're looking for.
Yeah. And do you think it's easier or just more of a natural thing for us as humans to just create an excuse rather than, try it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you really understand the science of the brain, look, what happens, right, is our brain is designed to protect us.
Yeah.
And so it will play tricks on us.
Yeah.
So if it had its way, we would sit in our house and we wouldn't leave the house, because outside is danger. And it keeps us in our survival brain, right? So we're stuck in that survival brain, and if it will do absolutely anything possible and create excuses, create thoughts, or reference past experiences that prove to you that, oh, this couldn't work.
Yeah.
Or this, shouldn't do this because this might happen. Like all of those things, because the brain is designed to keep you safe and exert least amount of energy possible. So it would rather you just sit on the couch and watch TV.
Yeah. And keep us in those comfort zones.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got to be able to utilize that and be able to tap into that and recognize that that's actually not serving us.
Yeah.
And is that excuse really what is actually holding us back? Or it's actually just a little bit of fear?
Yeah, for sure. A thing that I did at the start of the year was, kind of create a list of things that I want to do that, when I look back on my life, I'll be proud of. And even if it doesn't work out, I'll be proud that I took the risk. And, sometimes the risk is scary, but if you like, it could be worse to not take the risk and look back and think, what if?
Oh, absolutely. Regret is the worst.
Yeah.
I remember reading a study of people who were on their deathbeds, and the biggest thing was regret. It wasn't that they worked too hard. It wasn't that, or didn't work enough. It was actually that they had regrets based on what they didn't do, not what they did do. So that's huge.
Yeah. For the most part, I feel like people that are successful compared to people who aren't necessarily where they want to be is just the successful people decided to make a choice. They decided, you know what, I'm just going to back myself. I'm going to do this. I believe in myself. Would you agree with that? Do you think that's really when it all comes down to it? The difference is successful people have just chosen to back themselves.
I think, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I think the key word there is decided.
Yes.
Like they made the decision to do it anyway.
Yeah.
and to feel that fear and do it anyway. And, even though sometimes they might not necessarily 100% back themselves, they're going to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
And through that process, you learn to back yourself even more, and you learn to believe in yourself even more. So that's where action is a massive part of what I try to inspire with my clients. And if it's something that you think about in your everyday life, if you, rather than think about it, and wait to feel ready, if you just take the action, so much more can come from that.
Yeah, definitely. And then you just start creating momentum, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so many things come out of the woodwork, and you don't realize that they were actually there for you. Those resources were actually there for you straight away, but you had closed your mind off to that possibility.
Yeah. What kind of steps would you recommend for someone to take? They're passionate about something, inside they want to take the next step, but they keep having these limited beliefs. What steps would you recommend for them to kind of take to, kind of get to that next step in their business?
I'm always an advocate for taking action.
Yep.
Just get started. Whatever it is, take action, because so much, like, you need that feedback from how it worked and didn't work to be able to keep moving forward. And when I think about, limiting beliefs, it's something that people recently, a lot of people are talking about recognizing and being aware of your limiting beliefs, of where that thought or that belief is actually holding you back from something.
Yeah.
And when you recognize that is your key to step up and take responsibility for that awareness, because a lot of the time people use it as their story, and they use it as the reason not to move forward.
Yeah. That could be your reason to move forward. Your story could be your reason.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use it powerfully to move you forward, or you can use it to hold you back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing with limiting beliefs is that there is a way, it's firstly understanding how they were created to then know how to change them. Yeah. So our beliefs are shaped by thoughts, shaped by what we've seen, our experiences, people who have said something, like all different things in our realm of our experience of life. At some point, we have decided to believe something to be true.
Yeah.
And usually that is backed up by evidence. So there's a number of things that have happened, or something someone said, and that person is very, has an authority in your life, and you trust them. Yeah. So you take that belief on to be true for you. So recognizing that is how you created that belief. It's then being able to switch it and go, is that serving me? If it's not, let's find a new belief that will serve me. Yeah. And then start building evidence to that belief.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so important, because obviously through my coaching processes, we do some ways of clearing limiting beliefs, but you still need to back it up with evidence to prove it right, because you're literally using the power of your brain to start creating new beliefs. Yeah. So if you want to believe something to be true, then you need to, open up your mind to actually recognizing the things that are happening in your world that will prove it, and start recognizing that, or start creating, and that's why action is so important. When you take the action to support that belief, it's like, oh, well, okay, that worked.
Yeah, yeah. How amazing.
And then you start believing it to be true.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, another thing that people can do is realize that they're not alone in their beliefs. I mean, literally everyone doubts themselves or has moments where they're not sure, but to understand that that is a natural thing to not always have that self-belief, and that they're not alone in those thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's actually recognizing whether it is actually your voice in your own head.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that belief has come from maybe a father or a mother or someone important in your life that has said that at some point, and you don't necessarily have to adopt that belief at all.
Yeah.
Something that, you can choose to believe something else instead. And, I think it's really powerful when you do start to recognize that and choose your own beliefs moving forward, because then it's totally within your control.
Yeah, for sure. So what about if someone, they've decided that they're going to back themselves and they take that next step, and then I feel like probably the next step is just feeling completely overwhelmed. You've got a million things that you need to do, and then all those negative thoughts come flooding back again because it's a new kind of, reality for them. What is your advice on kind of dealing with the overwhelm of that taking that next step?
Absolutely. So overwhelm is something that comes up on a regular basis, and it's something that we have the power to control, because a lot of the time it's the way that we're utilizing our self-talk to either empower us or disempower us. And we can choose to focus on what's not working, and we can choose to focus on what is working. And usually when it comes to overwhelm, there's usually probably one or two major things that are causing the overwhelm. So if you can start to create really, search for the clarity around the overwhelm and discover which one is the most thing that's overwhelming me right now. And if I change that or work 10 minutes on that, that will shift everything. And so I often ask clients to, really pinpoint what is the main thing that's overwhelming you. And sometimes it's a thought about one thing they need to do. They need to return a phone call they're a bit scared of, or they need to put themselves out there for, in place of judgment, or they, it's so interesting when you think about it. It's like, oh, but I've got 50 million things I'm really stressed about. It's like, cool. What's the one thing that's mainly stressing you right now? 100% of the time they can pinpoint one.
I think as well, like, kind of scheduling these things into your calendar. So it kind of just feels like it's just a part of my day. That might be that really scary phone call. So I'm just going to schedule that in tomorrow for 10 o'clock. And it's just a part of my day now. I'm going to go to the gym, make the call, come home. Like, it's just part of the process then. Take the pressure off.
Yeah, absolutely. Scheduling is massive. I think and even scheduling's fun. Like scheduling the things that you want to enjoy, because in this day and age we can be so busy being busy that we forget to actually enjoy life. So definitely scheduling is really helpful. When I have clients that come to me with 50 million ideas and they're not sure where to start, just to circle back to that. So I think it's important, because we often do have so many thoughts. And I recently had a client that, wasn't sure where her direction was going with her business, because she had uncovered what she really loved about her business and uncovered areas that she wasn't necessarily loving. And so I think there's a couple of questions you need to ask yourself in that situation. One is, are we separating all these things where we possibly could be bringing them together and creating something really unique? Or do I need to just pinpoint the top 4 that I'm most passionate about, that I can talk about all day long, that really excites me to get out of bed in the morning, and just spend some time on that one thing and see if I can make that work? And I'm like 2-3 months on that one thing.
For sure.
We can't just give it a little bit of energy and think, oh, it's going to just blow up and be amazing in a week's time. You need to give it dedicated commitment to that aspect of what you want to create. So, or put energy into that idea for it to flourish. So I would, definitely think about if you've got 5 or 6 different areas that you want to think about creating a business around, can you create something together with all of those? If not, choose your top 2 or 3 and decide to spend a good 2 to 3 months on the first one. Then you will, by putting in so much action, you get so much feedback and recognize what you do love about it. Because sometimes you start something and you're like, actually, I'm just not feeling it.
It's all trial and error as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, a lot of people talk about failure. And I think when a really great entrepreneur, a really successful entrepreneur really has a different relationship with failure than a lot of normal people do. And when we recognize that and we're able to tap into how we can use failure to serve us rather than, stop us in our tracks, it can change our whole outlook.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how many, entrepreneurs do you know that have done, they've gone down, 3 or 4 times before they've reached that peak? But I feel like a lot of the time we're just focusing on, oh, look at their life now. That's so amazing. That's what I want. And why aren't I getting that? Well, you haven't actually taken a step back and seen the fails before finally the success comes through.
All the hard work behind the scenes and times they've got back up after being knocked down, so much with social media, it's so easy to tap into someone's life and see their success where they are right now. But where were they a year ago? Where were they 2 years ago? And what did they need to achieve and overcome to be able to get to where they are now? Success doesn't happen overnight. And as much as people and society tells you, if you scroll through Facebook, it's like, oh, I just made $20,000 today. That's great. But it actually took you probably 6 months to get to that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And how important do you think it is to kind of be self-aware in this industry, when you're having those moments of doubt or, you're lacking self-belief?
I believe self-awareness is something that is imperative in all aspects of life, to be honest. Like, to be a good mum, you need self-awareness. To be a good boss, to be a great leader, you need to have that emotional intelligence to recognize that what you're doing, your behavior, your actions, your thoughts aren't necessarily creating the results that you want in life, and having that awareness around what's working and what's not working, whether your thought is actually causing you pain or causing you, it's so important.
Yeah.
Self-awareness, and it's literally the key to everything, because when you have that clarity, it helps you create the change that you're looking for.
Yeah. And how important do you think it is to have your mindset aligned to your business so that you'll be more inclined to get things moving and see results when you're on that same path, I guess?
I love talking about alignment. I think it's something that is the key, seriously, because often we'll find that there's like something that you're trying to achieve and your actions are there and your thoughts are there, and you're like, you believe in it, it's going to happen, and you're passionate about it. But then when you're actually out there talking about it, it's actually, that's what's not in alignment.
Yeah.
So it's, there's so many things. Like, I think back to, like, for instance, a weight loss journey that I went on a while ago. And like years ago, I had this limiting belief that I did not want to be a calorie counter. I did not want to be in the supermarket looking at what ingredients were in what boxes.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, like, oh yeah, I want to be fit and healthy, and I want to be, I want to lose 20 kilos. And it's like, cool, you can have those thoughts and you go to the gym, but without your diet and your concept of understanding nutrition, then how is that going to work?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
So yeah, absolutely. It's huge. Alignment is massive, and it's really recognizing where the misfit is.
Yeah.
Totally.
I won't go too much into it, otherwise I'm going to literally I'm sure we'll chew each other's ears off for 3 hours. But even if people just kind of looked into the basics of law of attraction and understanding that when you visualize yourself getting those results, or even go to the point where you live each day like you're already successful, it is just incredible how momentum rolls and how things get moving for you, and it almost feels like you just are naturally progressing. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think one of the things that people forget to think about is your own energy, and your vibration, and how you show up in the world. And because a lot of the time, it'll be like, oh, I'm taking this action and I'm doing these things and I'm saying all the right things, but I'm actually not internally believing that it's possible.
Yeah, for sure.
And so your energy shows up. People can feel your energy as soon as you meet them. And if you are not congruent with actually your vision for what you want to achieve, then nothing is going to work. And I think that's one of the biggest shifts that I made early on in my business, that it was when I actually showed up with the right energy, and it was when I matched my vibration with what I wanted to achieve and who I wanted to be. Other than thinking about what I need to do, it was about, okay, who do I need to be to actually achieve what I set out to achieve. So I 100% agree with you.
I think there's a difference between making a choice okay, I want to do it, to literally being okay, I'm going to put everything into this, I'm going to be that person, I'm going to believe it, I'm going to really 100% commit to this, and it'll come, and believe in the process as well, I think.
Yeah. And I think sometimes what helps in that situation is having a bigger vision, and setting yourself aside a vision for longer term, because we can often be like, oh, I'm going to feel it and I'm going to be passionate about it for the next 2 weeks. Whereas if you set aside a bigger vision that's more long term, then you're like, oh, this is a little bit of a step before I go to the next level. And it's like, it's okay, that didn't work, we'll try something else, because my big vision is 10 years, not necessarily just next week. So I find that really helps as well.
And I think that goes back to as well the limiting beliefs as well. You might feel like you're stuck in a rut, or not much is happening, but then when you take a step back and you look at it in the bigger picture with your vision, you might be like, oh, that actually happened last week, and that is now moving me a step closer to that vision, and it all wraps up together, I think.
Yeah, And sometimes it doesn't happen in the exact steps that you think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I guess by showing up with the right energy and having, raising your vibration, you're allowing and you're open to so much more because you actually enjoy every step.
Yeah.
And so when you get excited about the little things that happen, it opens up new opportunities and possibilities that you didn't think was even something that would even come about. Like it just blows my mind when you are actually in that high vibe that things just come your way and you're just like, holy crap, how did that happen?
Yeah. And it all happened so naturally.
Yeah, that's it. And you didn't push. And every time I was talking to a client a couple of weeks ago about this and about how, it's all hustle and grind and, it's hard work. And look, I 100% had a limiting belief about business and about, when I first started out, I uncovered a limiting belief that to make money, you had to work hard. And so that constant push and push and push and grind really weighs on you. And it was like, when you just allow it to let go and actually step back into how am I showing up? What's my energy here? Am I aligned with my thoughts, my behaviors, my actions? Everything just starts to flow, and sometimes things happen so much easier and you're just like, what was I so worried about?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, cool. That was amazing. Thank you. So if someone, they've made the decision to take the step, they're aligned with themselves, they're aligned with their purpose, their vision, what are the benefits then of finding a business coach such as yourself in those really early stages of starting a business?
Oh, look, I think, I've had coaches along the way with my whole journey, even before becoming a business coach myself. I think it was something really important to have mentors and coaches and role models. I think it's something that you can learn so much from other people. And I think in the early stages of business, it's really important to create that clarity because often you can try to do it all yourself, which is all good and well. Don't get me wrong. It's something that, if you've got the passion and belief and you want to go for it, please do.
Yeah.
But sometimes having a sounding board and being able to clear away some of the old beliefs and clear away the expectations that we set upon ourselves, we're able to create so much more momentum and so much more creativity and insights into what you can create with your business. And a lot of the time I find that we often start our own business very much focused on ourselves and what we want to create for ourselves, which is all good and well. But to have a sustainable business, we need to flip that and almost take ourselves outside of the equation of the business and look at how that business is serving the client or the customer.
Yeah.
I think a business coach can really help you get really clear on that. It can help you get really great direction on be able to accelerate the steps, accelerate the action and the actual results that you're looking for really quickly and help you step into being the person that you want to be to have the results that you're looking for. And I think a business coach can really help you do that.
Yeah. And do you have any specific success stories of, maybe someone you've coached or even yourself of people who've had limiting beliefs and overcome them to create their dream life?
Oh, absolutely. Look, it's something that it's 100% early on in my program that I work with my clients to uncover those limiting beliefs and get rid of them straight away because it's something that often is the main roadblock that actually holds people back. So, look, there's so many. I was literally trying to think about this before we jumped on because it's like, which ones do I want to talk about? Which clients are comfortable with me talking about?
True.
I think money mindset, I think, is probably one of the main things that I help a lot of clients overcome. And that seems to really help to accelerate their success really early on because we can have so many limiting beliefs about money that can create such roadblocks. And when we're able to uncover those and clear those, it changes our relationship with money. So then we can actually step into owning what we're worth because we connect our own worth with money. And a lot of the time it's come from, our parents, or it's come from people in our world that have, not realizing it, but we've taken on their beliefs from the past and we've allowed that to play out in our lives. And they can be very, very limiting because we can often believe that, it has this energetic force about pushing money away. And when we're in, being a coach or a life coach or being in the health and wellness industry, for some odd reason, we believe that we shouldn't be paid well. it blows my mind. Like, why is it different from you and someone else in business? Like, you can 100% do what you love, and you should be paid well for that.
Yeah.
And it's not about connecting your worth to money, even though a lot of people, we have that connection. So it's about disconnecting that and talking about that money is a byproduct of value.
Yep.
And if we get back to understanding that aspect is that if the more value you offer and serve, then the more money will come your way.
Yep.
So I think, that's definitely one of the main successes that I have with the program that I run.
I think that's awesome. Like, before you even get to the business side, that you really break down those limiting beliefs, because, I feel a lot of the time, everyone or people might have, all their ideas ready to go, but the only thing that's stopping them is their mind. And I think that is really good that you take the time to actually stop and help people through those thoughts as well.
Because you can, and that's what I've discovered with being a business consultant for so long, is that, you can have all the tools in the world and all the resources in play for you, but if you don't believe it's possible, and if you think that, to have a business, it means you're going to work your guts out until you don't have any family or friends left, then why would you want to do it?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
So many times we connect success with pain, or we connect certain things that we want to achieve. And, I guess, in Australia, we do have the tall poppy syndrome a little bit, and it's something that, we often tear people down when they succeed, but that can often be played out from limiting beliefs. So it's so important, and that's why I wanted to delve into, neuroscience to understand what makes people tick and understand how these types of thoughts hold us back, because like I said, you can have all the tools and resources and all the money in the world, but you can self-sabotage till the cows come home and fail and fail and fail because you really don't believe it's possible.
Yep, for sure. Definitely. I'm going to throw a question in that I didn't tell you about. It's nothing bad, don't worry. What advice would you give to your younger self when you were first starting out Periscope coaching?
Oh, great question. Probably don't stress about what your dad's going to say.
Yeah.
I think being aware of self-judgment is actually more harsh than outside judgment.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is that you often hold yourself back because of the judgment you're going to see from other people outside. And what that was holding me back from was actually being open to so much good and so much support and so much tribe that come in and celebrate your successes and celebrate your abilities. Like that, I think for so long held me back, was the stress about putting myself out there and having people judge me, when it was absolutely the opposite.
Yeah, for sure. That's so good. Just my last couple questions.
Sure.
Where can people get more information on this topic? I think you have your podcast, which is a really good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. So I created my podcast with that insight, is that it's designed to support my clients through all the different experiences they have throughout running a business. And so that's called the Next Level Life podcast, and I'm interviewing other successful entrepreneurs, but also there's episodes that are delving into the types of topics we even talked about today. So alignment, connecting with others, overwhelm, how we deal with stress, and how we deal with self-doubt, like all of those types of things that always come up when we're trying to create a business. So yeah, definitely. Or you can jump across to my website also, which is www.periscopecoaching.com.au.
Cool. I'll put a little link in the show notes for that as well.
Thank you.
And how can listeners get in contact with you?
Oh, same way through my website, or through any of the socials as well. Obviously, I'm on Instagram, which is Christine C_Periscope_coaching, or Periscope Coaching on Facebook. So definitely, I'd love you to reach out and let me know what you took away from this episode. This would be great.
Great. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Really, really insightful. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for such great questions. That was awesome.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.